Hello, my name is Ethan, and welcome back to another episode of Path of Exile Ultimatum League 3.14. In this episode, I want to give you guys a build update to the SSF Hardcore Carrion Golem build, because I posted my RIP, but I didn't actually post an update to the build, and the POB was the outdated one, so now I will update you guys and catch you up with the dead SSF character. So here we have the Carrion Golem build. So viewers wanted an update on this, and so I said, yeah, that makes sense. So let's go through it. This was the Carrion Golem build. I died to lightning circles of death, and overall the build is 4 Carrion Golems that you get from using Anima Stone, and then 3 Primordial Jewels and using Golem Commander. And so we're a physical impale build, and so I get 4 Carrion Golems, and the 4 Carrion Golems get 100% impale through Anomalous Impale for 50%. I have Divergent Dread Banner with Generosity, and I run the Aura effect from Solvenarity, and I run 1 Rotting Claws. So we actually run a Cluster Jewel, where it's Call to Slaughter, Renewal, Rotting Claws, which allows us to not take Call to Slaughter. And so we get 7 points, 2 Jewel Sockets, and 2 Notables. It's pretty good, even though it was a 9 passive. So this was really cool. If I wanted a 3rd Notable, it would have been Rotting Claws, Renewal, and Vicious Bite. And then the build, I'll go through it. So the wand was a +2 wand. I have a wand video on how to craft this. It's basically a 4-socket resonator, corroded fossil, shuddering, jagged, and metallic in a 4-socket resonator. And I got this within 4 tries, 5 tries, something like that. And then I also hit minion damage 38, which is insane. And then I recrafted the suffixes, so I just multied it. Then the helmet, I had looked for life and minion life. I crafted it with pristine fossils. I got a lucky minion damage 16, which gives 15 minion damage, and then I multied the suffixes. I noticed now, to let you guys know, how you get 100% avoid elemental ailments in my build was 25% chance to avoid in the helmet, 25% chance to avoid in the chest, the glove, 30% to avoid in the chest plate, and then the anoint on the amulet is another 20%, and that gets you 100. And then the minion life is for the zombie and the spectre in the helmet. Then for shield, I did this because of SSF Hardcore. I also could have ran a Saffles frame for 4 max all res, so it would have been 4 fire, lightning, cold, and then 4 chaos res. I also could have ran a 2nd wand instead, but this was for hardcore, so you have to run a shield because of the anoint, but you don't have to run a shield technically, so you could lose the anoint, lose the extra avoid elemental ailments. I'll even give some stuff at the end of how you could upgrade this for trade. But the Ami, I went for a +2 with an awakener orb. So the hunter gets you the +1 intelligence at item level 82. The warlord gets you +1 to physical skill gems, or item level 82 warlord, and then I awakener orb them on a Onyx Ami because this was the best I had. I would have liked a deck space Jade Ami, but I didn't have any SSF. And then I craft Endurance Charge, and we'd like an open prefix if you can instead of mana for life, obviously, but it's difficult. You kind of just have to RNG it off of the Awakener Orb, open suffix or life, and open prefix or life. And then I went for life res rings with an open suffix. So on the jewelry, rings, and Ami, you can craft minimum endurance charge. That's how we get the 3 endurance charges all the time. Endurance charges are 4% physical damage reduction and 4% LE res. And so this gives us 12% physical damage reduction, which is absolutely insane. I just noticed I didn't have my cam on for this whole thing. Oh, there we go. So then the chest plate, I went for a hunter chest plate because of SSF hardcore, but in theory, phys as chaos from hits isn't the best. Elemental like fire, cold, and lightning would be better because I have higher 77, 76 instead of 75. Also, a side thing, technically the chaos doesn't get mitigated by Immortal Call. Immortal Call is only less physical and less Ellie. It's not less chaos. And so this was anti-synergy. I was causing physical to go to chaos. So then it's only against the 75 chaos res and not Immortal Call, which is a pretty big damage reduction. So that's pretty big. People wondering about if they needed Phys as Chaos. You don't. Phys as Chaos is better with Sabakawa and CI. It was more for like the future scaling of the build potentially. I just ended up on this because of SSF, and I was crafting this chestplate and I 6-linked it because the other benefit, I was trying to get lucky and get the suffix called increased effect of offerings, because I was actually in this build, I was Mistress of Sacrifice Bone Offering, but now when we died, we were a flesh offering, divergent flesh offering with 42 attack speed with Commander of Darkness. So we get an extra 30 elemental res from Commander of Darkness. So we were able to free up space on our gear. And then we also got the free damage, and we didn't go bone offering. So now we could go the flesh offering, which is also more damage because of more attack speed. And so this was all really, really significant and pushed our damage to like 6.4, 6.7 million. It was really insane instead of the block. And we weren't using a Shaper shield, life on block shield yet. So that's why I switched off of the block. I actually just moved away from block entirely, and I like having a bigger one-shot buffer and then just playing well to get out of more damage, like repetitive hits, shotgunning, etc. Moving will stop you from getting hit multiple times, hopefully, instead of needing to block. And so we switched to Flesh Offering and Commander of Darkness. And then in the wand, I have the trigger socketed spells when you use a skill, so it triggers Desecrate Flesh Offering automatic when you're shield charging, for example, or when you're flame dashing, or when you're summoning skeletons, whatever you're doing, casting spells, it'll trigger the wand, and it can also trigger the Holy Relic. So we summon a Holy Relic in this build, and the Holy Relic, when you attack an enemy with shield charge, because shield charge is an attack, it actually will trigger the Holy Relic's Nova. The Holy Relic doesn't attack unless it doesn't use its spell unless you attack an enemy, and then it deals physical damage and grants life regen. So this was pretty nice life regen in the build, and some extra damage. It wasn't that bad. It was like 100,000 AoE every time we shield charge, so it gives us kind of damage, like, because we're triggering it, and it can trigger like 3 or 4 times a second, which is pretty cool. And then I also had the Holy Relic enchant that I got from an Uber lab, and I might as well use it because it could buff up my Holy Relic that I was actually using in the build. And then on the boot, I had went for an Elder boot with Fortify. Socketed gems are supported by Fortify, so that I could put in the boot Shield Charge to save a slot on Shield Charge, because it would be Shield Charge Fortify. I put my Animate Guardian in the boot, so it would have Fortify. I gave the Animate Guardian Anomalous Maim, so it would have increased effective maim and increased physical damage for the maimed targets. So it helps increase the damage for the Carrion Golem by maiming the enemy. And then the Skeletons also will have Fortify and Maim, and the Shield Charge can also maim, so I could maim as well. This is very cool. It's a lot of stuff in a single boot, so it's a 5-link that each of them is like a 3-link. It's really cool. And then I actually Aisling slammed move speed and crafted life, and so I hit 30 move speed with chance to get onslaught for 4 seconds on kill. Warning, the onslaught for 4 seconds on kill doesn't work off of your minion kills and only your kills, and so this would be better if I had a Kingmaker on the Animate Guardian, but I was budget SSF hardcore. I didn't have a Kingmaker. On the Animate Guardian, everything is normal except for 2 things. His chest plate is nearby enemies are blinded from Redeemer, which is basically a Flesh and Stone aura for 0 mana reserve, which is really cool. And then the second one is the weapon is a dagger, and it's a hunter dagger, and it has chance to intimidate enemies on hit. Because I didn't have awakened melee physical, I was using divergent melee physical, so I didn't have intimidate, so I got intimidate with my Animate Guardian, and then this overwhelms physical 5%. Very cool. So that's to explain that. And then in the glove, we linked skitterbots, anomalous skitterbots with unbound ailments for the increased effect of the ailments, which is shock and chill. Very cool, very strong for hardcore, the chill part. And then divergent dread banner with generosity. That goes over everything. on the outside. Now we main link, Carrion Golem, Anomalous Impale for the chance to impale, the Divergent Melee Phys to overwhelm 5% physical damage reduction, Multi-Strike 2020, the default is pretty good. Then we have Divergent Brutality to overwhelm 5% physical damage reduction, and I did get Awaken minion damage in my SSF Hardcore. On the belt, I put a jewel that was life, minion damage, minion attack speed. The minion chaos damage doesn't do anything. It would be better if it was physical. Because I'm running brutality, I can't deal chaos damage, so it's useless. Next, we have the Anima Stone and the Primordial Might and the 2 Primordial Harmonies. And so on jewels, you can harvest implicit craft. You can add an implicit to a jewel, which is the top line. The first line, and that you can add a look for chance to avoid being stunned is really good, because in our build we had some stun avoidance because of the chest plate. 30%, you can get 30% on the chest plate, and I think that the anoint for the wearing a shield is also avoiding stun, so then you can combine it with avoiding stun on the jewels, and you could get 100% chance to avoid stun, so you could be stun immune just from that. It's very powerful. I did a combination of stun recovery plus stun avoidance, and it basically feels like stun immunity. It's really cool. And then we have this jewel, which is life, LE res, chaos res, and physical. So this is very important. Basically, to explain, in our build we have 10 res and 15 res, elemental res, so that's 25. Our minions are actually missing 10 elemental res, so I got it through this jewel. Our Spectres aren't capped. They're actually missing some res, but they survive because they have too much HP. It's great. And then because we didn't take Grave Intentions, we're missing the 38 chaos, so I got an extra 10 back through this jewel, which is nice. Could be 11 if you rolled it, divine it. I can't hover it for some reason. There we go, 11. And then there's 40 life, and minion deals physical damage. Pretty cool. This jewel is absolutely insane, like a best in slot. Like you can't get better than this, basically, for the spot I was in. And then I did Primordial Harmonies, and I was corrupting for Corrupted Blood. It's better to have summon golems have 45% increased cooldown recovery rate and 20% increased golem damage for each type of golem you have summoned. The first line doesn't matter because that's the actual skill of summoning the golem. So for example, this, you could lower the cooldown of summoning another golem, but that doesn't matter. So you only need to lower the cooldown of the actual ability the golem uses. And so that's the second one. Summoned golems. Do you see the difference? The golem skill is this, and the actual golem in game is summoned. Yeah, that's really cool. And then with our build, I got Corrupted Blood on a Primordial Harmony, which was absolutely insane for SSF Hardcore. And then I had a Fractured Life Ghastly Jewel. So in Harvest, people can fracture mods, or you can find this through like Ritual, Heist, a bunch of League mechanics past Harvest, gained the ability to drop items with a fractured mod, and so you could find this as a base on the ground in like Heist from a chest, from a jewelry chest, or an abyss chest maybe, and then it would have the fractured mod. And so it's a guaranteed mod, meaning you craft it and it stays. It doesn't change. You can't divine it. You can't do anything. It's there. So we guaranteed life and then crafted phys damage, taunt, blind. Oh my god. I crafted this with attack modifiers in Harvest. It could also be serrated fossils. Yep. Did I miss anything? Overall, the build performed really well. It was really cool. It was really sick. My Flasks were Forbidden Taste for the phasing and the instant life recovery. The damage over time isn't very much because I have 75 chaos, for example. It's like 4 degen. It's nothing. I used the roomies because of the armor and the block. The block was pretty good, and I was a bone offering Mistress build, but I switched off. But I still continued to use the granite because I noticed that raising my block to 53 and 9 is pretty good. It feels nice. It's definitely not insignificant, And I was able to keep it up enough. That was the usual reason why I did a magic one instead. It was to have higher uptime, because you can modify it with gaining charges when you're hit, or reducing the charges it takes, or increasing the duration. You can't do this to a unique flask. So here I have Basalt, where I recommend reduced charges and then curses, or bleeding. You can do charge recovery, reduce charges, increase duration on a quartz flask, and then bleeding or curse. On the Quicksilver, you can do reduce charges to get it so you can click it 3 times, which is huge, instead of only 2, because it usually consumes 20 of 50 charges. And then, yeah, reduce charges and immune to curses. You can also get immune to bleeding, but I like curse on the Quicksilver because this is the flask that's most up. I'll point it out. Every flask that I have is 2 clicks, except for this one. That one's 3. So when you press them all, this one has an extra charge, and so it'll recover faster because you don't need as many charges to use it again. And so you're fully curse immune by doing this if you're trying to rely on the other flasks as well. And I like curse immune all the time, because when you're doing a map that has temp chains, it feels terrible, and you want it on your Quicksilver because that's the one to move fast, and it's sick. And you press it 3 times, and I feel like it's more required than bleeding, and then bleeding can be on either of these, because this is your physical to deal with the bleeding. Like, the additional physical damage reduction actually helps against bleeding, so it makes sense that you'd click that flask especially for the bleed. But I think in my SSF hardcore, this is just how my RNG worked out. I crafted and I got these, so I just made it work, you know. But best case scenario, I think bleed on this one and curse on the quartz. And why do I do 2 curse? Because consistency. It's that annoying, it's that big of a deal that I want it more. It's just, I did this before too. I did an enduring mana flask with curse immune and a Quicksilver with curse immune. I just like having more than one flask for the curse immune. And yeah, I now show you this very quick. This is the POB, and so we were rocking 1.66 million DPS. Without awakened gems, we only had awakened minion damage, so you could get awakened gems. Especially awakened multi would make a big difference. I used Solaris gruthkul. I switched the gruthkul to abberath for burning ground for blight, and sometimes I would switch it to shakari for poison for doing hezmin. But at near the end, I was doing fine. My build was really strong. And yeah, Arsonancy was Mindless Aggression, Bone Barrier, Unnatural Strength, Mistress, Commander of Darkness. So the order would be Mindless Aggression, Unnatural Strength, Bone Barrier, then Commander of Darkness. I don't take Mistress, I'm not taking Bone Barrier anymore. For hardcore, it still might be better, but I decided not to do it, and then I died to multiple hits, so maybe I should have kept it. But either way, this is what my actual build was when I died, and it's so fucking strong, dude. And we also had skeletons, so you could summon skeletons. You can Val Skelly that have Maim, and they're pretty strong in this build. It's kind of crazy. Let me show you. 139k per Skelly, 10 Skellies, and you have Val Skelly 118k with 43, but this isn't accurate because you're getting ranged Skellies and mage Skellies, so the mage Skellies won't Maim and fortify, but then the melee Skellies will Maim. And maybe the ranged Skellies can maim, but the ranged Skellies probably won't do fortify. It's pretty complicated and confusing. But then we also had the Holy Relic damage. And the Holy Relic's 143,000, and it's a circle AoE. And it's a spell, and it's pretty cool, so it was 100% accurate. And we also had zombies, and oh my god, it's an insane build. But now I'll go through the gems real quick. Flame Dash in the ring. Weapon, this 3-link, caster damage taken, Immortal Call, and Feeble. Keep the caster damage taken at level 1. I did Anomalous for skill effect duration, you don't need it. Immortal Call level 3, keep it at level 3. Anomalous for cooldown recovery rate, you don't need it, you can keep it normal. And Feeble, level 5, default 20. Flame Dash is supposed to be 20 quality, so I'll fix that for you, so because someone's going to leave it at 10 and think it was supposed to be that way. My bad. Then this, I had a 2120 Carrion Golem. We would have liked to have the cooldown recovery rate, but I didn't have it. I didn't have Divergent, so just normal 2120. 21-0 is better than 2020, in case you have that option. 2020 anomalous impale for the chance to impale, so we get 50%. This is huge. Divergent melee phys for the overwhelm physical damage reduction. You could also do awaken melee phys for the chance to intimidate, so you don't need it on the animate guardian. And you can run a kingmaker for the extra culling strike and the crit multi. Then multi-strike, awaken multi. I don't like either of these alt qualities for attack speed, area, reduced attack speed and big area, or increased attack speed. I like the default. Awaken minion damage. You could use regular minion damage with double damage as an alt quality, or the regular. Brutality, divergent for overwhelm 5% physical damage reduction. You could do awakened brutality for 10% overwhelm physical damage reduction. It's even better. And then Desecrate Flesh Offering Holy Relic gets automatically triggered by the wand. The Desecrate can stay level 1 if you want. I use Divergent Flesh Offering for 10% increased attack speed. You can use the default for the skill effect duration. You don't have to have it, but obviously it's more attack speed. And then this automatically triggers, so you want the Desecrate before the Flesh Offering and the wand because it does it in order. And then Holy Relic. It doesn't need to be in the wand. I just assumed that you can summon it and then resummon it. And it's kind of cool, and it's one of the tankiest minions in the build, actually, because I put Anomalous Holy Relic, which is 60% increased minion max life. Huge life on this thing. You could also just do a normal one. You don't have to have it, or you could go 21-0. Then we have Dread Banner Generosity. Divergent Dread Banner is very important for the chance to impale. You need this. You don't technically need the 21-20. This was lucky, so just 20-20 is fine, and Generosity. And then Skitterbots, Anomalous is better for the increased effect, the increased area. But you can get this one to get increased effect of the ailments, which is extra shock, extra chill, kind of like running Unbound ailments. So if you can, Divergent Skitterbots is better than Anomalous, and then you can run the normal for minion move speed. I don't really need the minion move speed usually. They're already really, really fast, and some of the most aggressive minions you can have. 21-0 zombie, you could do 21-20. The alt qualities don't really help. The normal default with extra life is really good. The regen's fine, but it'd be weird. And then we have 21-20, and I got an anomalous in SSF Hardcore. This is best for extra life, but you could do the default for minion move speed or just a 21-0. And then 20-20 Divergent Feeding Frenzy for minion move speed. There's also recovering 1% of life on hit. Or the default, you can just use default, it's fine, but Divergent's probably the best. And then Animate Guardian, 21-0, 21-20 is better, and if you can use the Divergent, it's even better, kind of like the Holy Relic, getting extra life. Huge life, dude. Insane. 21-20 Anomalous is the best MAM for the increased effect of MAM, but otherwise just 21-0 regular default MAM is good enough because the quality doesn't do anything, and the Divergent you could do for bleeding. You can get bleeding through MAM if you wanted a bleed build. Val Skelly, 21-0 is better. Val Skelly, yep, 21-20 if you can. Shield Charge, doesn't matter, 20-20 is fine. It's increased damage and increased damage at max range, so it's useless. We'd rather the move speed. You could even go 21-20 as well, or 21-23. And then Pride, I do 20-20. You could do a 21-20, but I don't use these because it's not that big of a minus physical damage reduction, and it's chance to bleed, which we don't really need. I've shown a few ways to get bleeding. Brutality also has bleed. But yeah, we don't need the bleed, and we would rather the area of effect on the Pride to increase the radius because it actually has some of the shortest range of the like big auras. It's shorter than Hatred, and it can't be linked to Generosity for the extra range, for example. So there's that. Yeah, those are all the gems and all the alt quality gems and all the alternatives. I hope that helps anyone following the build. This is the build update. Went through everything, caught you guys up with the build. Final thing, just the couple things I figured that I have missed, is the Spectres, 2 Carnage chieftains. What level was it? Yeah, 2 Carnage chieftains, 2 host chieftains. I had 4 Spectres because I got the gem to level 25. I got it to level 25 because of the wand upgrade that I made. And yeah, technically you could go 2 wands, but then you can't use the anoint, so you have to find the extra elemental ailment avoidance somewhere else. And so that could be through using the crystal skin anoint to have 15% chance to avoid, but you're only at 95, so you would have to use the aisling slam on the chest plate. So instead of getting 30% avoid ailments, you can get like 45 avoid ailments on the chest plate, and then that would get you the extra percent you needed to get the 100%. You can also find shaper boots with avoid ailments, so if you don't do the fortify elder boot, you can do avoid elemental ailments through the boot. You could also do an awakener orb elder shaper boots for fortify and elemental ailments, so that you have the elemental ailment in the boot, so you don't have to get it maybe through the Ami enchant, like I said. So you could change to 2 wands, or you could do a 2-hander. You can do whatever you want. Build's fucking crazy. Build is sick. It has huge deeps on the Carrion Golem, so I'm super happy, and it felt really good. It was basically, well, I died. Rest in peace. Not hardcore viable anymore. But I did Awakener 8. I had done the big Uber Lab, like the gift to the goddess Uber Lab. I did all 10-way Maven invitations. I had my full Atlas completed. I was just going towards the end game of like farming the bosses and the middle Atlas invitations. But either way, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope someone could learn, and maybe this helps people who are trying to follow the build and follow up on this. But yeah, like I said, Awakened Gems would be a big upgrade, and maybe going more offensive instead of so much HP. So you could sacrifice some of the health and go more offensive. Go Awakener Orb, double influence items, like the chest plate, maybe even Maven Orb stuff, double influence helmet, maybe get a proper shield, or going, like I said, a second wand. Either way, this foundation of a build is absolutely insane, and I was really excited to scale it up, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So either way, I'm going to take this opportunity to thank my Patreon and my YouTube members who financially support the channel. I can't do this without you guys, so thank you guys for all the support, and thank you to anyone new who joins the Patreon and the YouTube members today. Bye!